For centuries, humans have traveled by sea. As they sailed across the blue, tales of sea monsters arose. Stories of giant squid, mermaids, and ghost ships spread throughout cultures, forever tainting humanity's view of the Great Blue. As time has passed and science has evolved, these folk tales have been left in history. However, humans have found a new sea monster to fear. From film to the news, sharks have been villainized for decades. Their jagged teeth, lethal bite, and supposed murderous nature have created a monster of the shark. But what are these animals really like? Are they the vicious creatures as many believe? Or is there more to these mysterious predators? Sharks belong to a class of fish called the chondrichthyes, which means cartilaginous fishes. Unlike human skeletons, which are made up of bone, chondrichthyes have skeletons made up entirely of cartilage. This is a tough but flexible tissue found in the human ear, nose, larynx, and more. The sharks that we know today, however, did not always look this way. In fact, there are over 400 million years of history to uncover when learning about sharks. To fully comprehend how old these animals are, I must note that the chondrichthyes existed before dinosaurs and trees. Although they have such a lengthy history, it's more difficult to track than dinosaurs and trees due to their cartilaginous skeletons. Because their bodies are made of cartilage rather than bone, their skeletons don't fossilize as easily, making fossil records much more scarce than their time on Earth would suggest. While the shark's ancestors lived 450 million years ago, the very first shark is believed to have been the Elagestolepes, whose fossilized scales were traced back to over 420 million years ago. The earliest sharks are believed to have looked quite different from the stereotypical shark, as they were small and resembled freshwater fish. The period when sharks began to evolve into their recognizable appearance is 360 million years ago, with the Cladosa lake shark. About 359 million years ago was the Carboniferous period, also known as the Golden Age of sharks. Before the Carboniferous period was an extinction event which killed over 75% of all life, eliminating large species that preyed upon sharks. This allowed the many shark species populations to grow, in both numbers and in size, dominating the ocean. This led to a drastic increase in chondrichthyes diversity. From this period came many ancient sharks with unlikely appearances, such as the Helicoprion, which had a set of teeth in its mouth similar to a buzzsaw. Following the golden age of sharks was the Permian period, about 252 million years ago. The end of this period saw another mass extinction, which ended 96% of all marine life. Some shark species, however, lived on. The surviving shark species of this extinction event would go on to evolve into the modern sharks of today. Now that we've discussed how the modern shark has evolved historically, let's look at how sharks have evolved anatomically. So what makes a shark a shark? The most prominent feature is their cartilaginous skeleton, as most fish species have skeletons made of bone. Cartilage is lighter, allowing sharks to float better in the water. In addition to their skeleton, sharks also have a large, oil-filled liver that keeps them buoyant. Sharks have numerous fins, including the pectoral fins, which lift the shark as they swim, pelvic fins, dorsal fins, and sometimes anal fins, which stabilize the shark, and the caudal fin, which propels the shark in the water. Like most fish, the majority of sharks are cold-blooded, meaning their blood temperature matches the temperature of the water. There are, however, some species of sharks in the mackerel shark family, the Lamnidae, that are warm-blooded. One of the most notable features of the shark, and what has catapulted them into monster status, is their hunting ability. A horizontal line of tubes, from the snout to the tail, runs along both sides of the shark's body. These tubes are just beneath the skin, and along them are open pores with hair-like projections. When the water passes through these pores and hits the projections, the sensory cells connected to the projections are stimulated by sound, pressure changes, and vibrations in the water. This alerts of movement, specifically from prey, in the water surrounding them. It is this feature, called the lateral line, that makes sharks the renowned predators of today. But the shark's reputation as a predator has morphed into that of a monster, largely due to misinformation spread for decades. Today, we're going to unpack some of these myths. Let's begin with the biggest misconception. All sharks are dangerous. Not only is this false, but it's harmful rhetoric that has led to a lack of shark conservation efforts. There seems to be a belief that sharks intentionally target humans, despite the evidence proving otherwise. Shark diets are typically made up of bony fish, mollusks, crustaceans, and some species eat larger animals, such as turtles and seals. Humans are in no way, shape, or form on that list. When people are bitten, there are various factors that lead a shark to that action. One of the factors is low visibility, or being around their prey. When sharks are unsure of what they are hunting, they will bite into the object as a sort of test bite. This is why most shark attacks only consist of one bite. The shark bites into the object, and once it determines that it's not its usual prey, the shark will swim away. Fun fact, or not so fun fact, you are more likely to get attacked by a dog or struck by lightning than get bitten by a shark. Let's keep this in mind when talking about sharks. Another big myth surrounding sharks is that they are the ultimate predator, preyed on by nothing. This is entirely incorrect. Smaller shark species get preyed upon by larger sharks, and even the largest sharks are preyed on by orca whales. A shark's biggest predator, however, is humans. Millions of sharks are killed each year from overfishing and accidental catching. Sharks are victims to shark finning, which is a cruel process where a shark's fins are cut off. A shark's fins are essential, as sharks need to be moving in water in order to breathe. When a shark's fins are cut off, they suffocate because they aren't able to swim, meaning they aren't receiving oxygen from the water around them. After the shark's fins are cut off, they are released back into the water. They are made immobile, so they float down to the bottom of the ocean and lie there until they die from excessive bleeding or suffocation. While this practice has been outlawed in many countries, it's still being illegally practiced today. Attention has not been brought to this issue, largely because of the reputation that supersedes sharks. The fear of animals, especially those in unfamiliar territories such as the ocean, is normal. The issue occurs when these fears are misconstrued as fact and lead to the unnecessary harm of such important animals. Sharks, through their diet, keep the carbon cycle in the ocean balanced. By preying on smaller fish that eat ocean vegetation, sharks keep these fish populations from overpopulating and consuming more vegetation than could be replenished. If sharks went extinct, fish populations would rise drastically, and vegetation would eventually go extinct. This balance controls carbon significantly, as ocean vegetation such as seagrass can capture 35 times more carbon than other vegetation like rainforests. They can also store this carbon for decades. The shark's main responsibility is keeping all of the populations in check. As a large predator, their prey habits ensure that no population becomes overpopulated and takes over or completely consumes another species. My point in this video is not to create shark lovers. I understand that people fear certain animals for reasons personal to them. I do, however, wish to create respect for sharks. With respect comes empathy, and with empathy comes action, which is exactly what sharks need, especially the species that are greatly endangered. We do not have to love them, but we must respect them.